Fellow auto detailers, welcome to the show that features interviews with today's most successful auto detailers. This is the Auto Detailing Podcast. Here's your host, Jimbo Balaam.
This week's episode is brought to you by Google AdWords for the modern auto detail business. Now, this is a course, and Google AdWords is something that I've been doing in my personal detailing business for quite some time now, and it's something that I've tweaked and condensed and studied, and I've worked the perfect model to make profitable Google ads. So, Google ads can sometimes be, or paid advertising in general, can sometimes be a really scary thing to dive into. You're investing money, you're not sure what the outcome is going to be. But what I've done is developed a course outlining exactly how I run my personal Google ads, and I show you how you can do that too. So it leaves the guesswork out of it. You just are shown how to make profitable Google ads. So if you're interested in driving some serious traffic to your business, if you're looking at reaching new customers and you want to do it in kind of the modern approach to word-of-mouth marketing and taking advantage of the authority that Google offers and Google searching offers, because that's really what it comes down to, is taking advantage of the authority that Google offers you. And you could get the number one spot on the number one page for select keywords. If you're interested in this, and if you're interested in taking your business to the next level, head on over to autodetailingpodcast.com/Google. That's autodetailingpodcast.com/Google. Now back to the show. Welcome to episode 100 of the Auto Detailing Podcast.
100? Are you kidding me?
100. And I'm back down at Meguiar's headquarters because I thought there would be no better guest for episode 100 than the pinnacle figure for the car care industry, and that is Barry Meguiar. So, Barry, thank you for taking the time. Thanks for coming on the show.
Greatly honored. 100 of these things you've created.
100
lads.
Yeah. So,
congratulations.
Thanks. I really
you're making a lot of noise. A lot of people find out who you are in a hurry. It's amazing what's been accomplished since you started, which wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, just back in August.
Wow.
So I appreciate it.
Good idea. You chased your dream. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you got just a jam-packed schedule. So
delighted, honored to talk with you.
So let's dive right in, because I know you're on a time constraint, and again, I want to be a respecter of your time. But I really want to hear I really want to kind of go back way in time to the beginning for you. We know Meguiar started in 1901, obviously.
I don't go back quite that far.
Not quite that far, but take us back. What's your earliest, maybe not your earliest memory, but what was it like as a child to grow up at Meguiar?
Well, it's wonderful to be born into a family business. It's very special. I was blessed to have that opportunity, and so I started working the business when I was like 5, 6 years old.
Wow.
Literally, I was around doing odd jobs and things and whatever. Did strictly relatives in the business back in the day, and by the time I turned, I was still in grade school. Fifth by summers of my 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. I began working those summers in the family business, and there's only like a dozen people in the business.
Wow.
And I would literally spell the people as they went on vacation. I would take their job, on the line.
Yeah.
And we had little machines and stuff, and I look back now, and it was so primitive, but that's what I did. In fact, the strong recollection I have is when September came and school started, I felt it wasn't fair that I had to go back to school because I could do the job that these adults were doing. I could do it as good as they did, and life wasn't fair. And I literally remember sitting on the monkey bars in the playground of my grade school, mm-hmm. and seeing the employees drive down the street that I had replaced during the summertime, and I thought, it's just not right. This is like a prison. I should be working. So I've had a great life working in the family business. I went from there. I went on through college and had a great college experience too, by the president, and learned all kinds of wonderful things at a Christian college. Mm-hmm. Had learned great values. Mm-hmm. And right after I got out of school, man, I was off and running. I moved with my wife. We moved to Detroit, and I took right out of college, and we moved to Detroit, and I took over all of our business with the car manufacturers. So as a 21-year-old kid,
Wow.
I'm calling on General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, and only in a family business can you get that kind of an opportunity, you know?
And that kind of pull,
And I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I knew how to buff cars. I knew how to do what I did. I knew I could talk product because of my life.
Right.
And it was fun, even as a young guy, gaining respect, earning respect, and eventually, you know, right away they were holding clinics and having me come in and teach paint correction back in those days.
For the car manufacturers?
Car manufacturers. I've been back there about a year, and Buick, each division of General Motors operated independently in those days, and we sold Buick all of their products. And I remember they called in all of their zone service managers from all over the United States to have me teach them. I'm 22 years old, and I'm teaching them how to take scratches out of paint finishes, you know.
Good for the ego, I guess, right?
Well, it's great for the fear factor.
Right.
I mean, it makes you trust the Lord. I was taught, trust the Lord with all your heart, and you'll direct your steps. I prayed and prayed and prayed. That really cinched it for me because God was faithful to me, and I had those kinds of experiences. But also, as I took over all the sales for the East Coast, as well as the car manufacturers. And I'm a car guy. I grew up a car guy, you know, and so I had to go to car shows. Everywhere I went, I found our products. Our products were being used on the best cars at all these car shows. And I started talking to them for once. They all gave me the same story. Their painter had put them onto it. In fact, had actually given, in most cases, their painter had given them our Meguiar's number 7, Mirror Glaze number 7, and said to keep this paint looking like this long term, you know, use this product on a regular basis. So that's what inspired me to go into retail. I mean, we were not a professional brand. We were not a retail brand. We were a professional brand. Adamantly professional. My grandfather and my dad and his 2 brothers, they didn't want anything to do with that Jimbo discount retail business. We're a professional brand. So I held a meeting with them in 1969.
How old were you at this point?
Well, I was 27.
Okay.
And I said, you know, whether we like it or not, we are in the retail business. They said, no, we're not. I said, no, we really are. It's been used all over the country by consumers, but they're not really consumers. I'm not talking about the mass market. I'm talking about car guys. I'm talking about car guys that they're like pseudo-professionals. They will follow directions. They will do it correctly. They're our kind of crowd. And they're frustrated with us because they can't get the product. And I can't imagine how much product we could sell to car guys if we made it available to them through retailers. And so I talked him into let me give it a go. And then I had to think, oh my goodness sakes, what I've got myself into. I don't have a clue about the retail market. And I'm a punk kid, you know, I know how to buff cars.
Right.
I know how to run a buffer really well. Going to a retailer and trying to get product on the shelf, that's a whole different
animal.
Ballgame,
but it's brilliant because you see a market opportunity, and at the same time I see where your dad and your grandfather are at, saying, you know, maybe their mindset, and correct me if I'm wrong, but their mindset is, you know, we don't want our company tainted or the view of our company tainted by these amateurs that have no idea what they're doing.
Absolutely, positively. And my grandfather would never sell a product unless he proved to himself that on a black finish, it performed better than anything else he could find, any competitive product. And my dad and 2 brothers continued that. My dad started making formulations with his dad back when he was like 12, 13 years old, and he continued until he was 83.
Wow.
Okay, so 70 years.
Right.
When you work on one skill for 70 years, you get pretty good at it after a while.
You're pretty dang good at it.
20, 30, you know, after a while.
Yeah.
And it was always that same dictate. We have to try every product we can against it, and if we work the best on a black finish, we always demonstrate on black finishes to this day, as you well know. We'll only drive black cars.
Right.
If it'll work on black, it'll work on anything. And so that's why car guys and custom painters loved it, because, of course, in the lights on the show cars, you want to have a perfectly clear finish. I coined this term, show car perfect paint finish.
Right.
My granddad was doing that. He didn't use that term, but my granddad was doing that, and it's happened throughout our whole history. That's been our claim to fame, to create a perfectly clear reflection when you get out on a sunny day, you look at the sun and a black finish, you don't see any holograms or scratches or whatever you want to call them, spider webs with different turns for them, but you just see the clear reflection of the sun. Yeah, that's when you do that.
And if it works on black, it's going to work on every other color.
So that's been it, and it's been quite a ride. You know, going to retailers and with a product and trying to tell them that I'll bring you different customers. It's a different audience. These are car guys. Well, it's car guys. I mean, if they didn't ever heard the term, I kind of created the term. I just like, they're car guys. I didn't say automotive people. I said, they're car guys. They're passionate car guys. And, you know, and they'll come in here and they'll be loyal. They want our brand. I'll bring you new customers. And at the time, they had J-Wax and Simon Eyes and a whole bunch of brands, no loyalty.
Right.
And, you know, I started selling small little independent retailers and 3-4 store chain those stores, and took a long time before I finally got into chain stores, and long before we got into the big box stores.
Right.
Just one product at a time. When I finally got them convinced and got one product in, it would stay.
Okay. And
then, you know, the next year they'd say, well, that worked out pretty good. You know, and actually, you're right. It's new customers.
But it's a win-win-win for everyone involved.
For them, and they make more money in our products because we sell for a little more money.
Right.
And so then they'd ask for another product, and so I've watched it now, and you know, here we are at Walmart. We have 70 products on the shelves at Walmart. Who'd ever dreamed, you know? I mean, back when I started, we were doing $600,000 a year, you know? And then I remember when we had a $600,000 month. Then I remember when we had a $600,000 day.
Oh.
And then we had a $600,000 order, you know? It's like, I always go back to $600,000. I look at it now, and I look at what we sell to the chain stores today. It just takes your breath away.
Right.
I mean, they buy 10, 15 trailer loads of these little bottles of car wax, and to get from where I was to where I am now, where we are now, it's a team effort. It's not me.
Absolutely.
It's a whole company full of passionate people that love what we do. We have a wonderful team, and it's like you almost can't get from where we were to where we are today.
Absolutely. You know? So I want to go back just for a little bit to that meeting in 1969, I think you said, where you sat down with your grandfather and your father, and you're saying, look, we need to go retail, and they're saying, no way, Barry. You know, what was it that you said, or what was it that you showed them? Was it, you know, the guys at the car show want this product and are already really using the product, and, you know, here's a need that we can fill, you know, and also help to grow the company. What was it that you showed them?
It was this thing of these people are professionals. They're not just casual people, and it's true today. I mean, a car guy is not. There's a big difference between a car guy user of car wax, and quite frankly, almost 90% of all car wax products today are bought by car guys.
Right.
Okay, so when I started, they didn't even know who car guys were. Now retailers understand that's their entire marketplace. Right. So they have to have Meguiars because we kind of lead the pack in that category. But even today, a car guy, starving for information, starving for the information you're providing. Why are you a success? Because car guys, they want to know more. There's no
I call it a sickness. Car guys, it's a sickness. Yeah. I love it because they just are. I don't know if there's another industry where the people, the consumers, or whatever you want to call them, within the industry are so passionate and so willing to. I love it. Yeah. They're so willing to put their money on the line.
There's no saturation point of training.
Yeah.
We have training garages here where they come by our offices on Saturdays,
Thursday nights
and stuff, and first timers are always saying, I've been a car guy for 20 years. I've been polishing my car since I was a teenager, and I've been doing it wrong all these years. I cannot believe how much easier it is and how much better results I get when I do it the right way, you know.
And listen to, read the bottle. That was funny. I was just thinking, we were looking at the bottles before we started recording, and you mentioned that your grandfather put on the back of the bottle, do not use,
do not purchase this product unless you follow directions. I mean, that's the dictate I grew up with. I took that off the label.
Right.
I didn't continue that. But I have people now say, you need to put that back on the label, you know.
It's true,
you need to do it right.
and I guess the flip side of the coin with the guys in the industry, we're so in tune with the industry and so, overzealous and to do stuff that we don't really want to listen to the bottle and the label,
Yeah, when everything else fails, follow directions. But car guys aren't that way. Car guys, they want to know.
Right.
They want to know. And so that's our audience. It's worked exceedingly well for us. And we love it. We're in the passion business, okay? We have passion for what we do.
It shows in everything.
The lab, I can't take you in the lab, but if you went in there, you would feel the passion when you walk in the room. These guys are so passionate. They're creating such great formulas, and they just love what they do, or they're working and testing and all this stuff. So there's passion in every bottle from the marketing side and creating the packaging and whatever. And, of course, we don't advertise all that. We're kind of lousy advertisers. We go out to car guys. We go to car shows. We go to thousands of car shows. One car guy at a time, because we know if we get their attention and help them get their paint finished so it's show car perfect, we'll have them for a lifetime. We have the best statistic of all the statistics related to our company. These are industry statistics, not ours. So we have an 83% customer loyalty factor. That's unprecedented in almost any category.
Huge.
People that get on our products, they will not use another product. They will stay. Maybe sometimes their head might get turned for a moment. Then they say, why did I, they're back to us. They stay loyal over the years.
I was thinking, even coming from a family that's not really car crazy, how about that, to use another one of your terms, but I would venture to say that, 80 to 90% of every household, we'll say in America, has at least one bottle of Meguiar something.
Well, I'd like to think that. I don't know.
I have no
Most
backing.
people don't wax the cars anymore. I mean, we're in a generation now with clear coat finishes.
Yeah.
They're so wonderful. They're so resilient. If you're not sensitive to scratches, you can really get by and drive your car and have it for several years and not even think about it. On the other hand, if you're a car guy, it works on our behalf because clear coat finishes scratch more easily and they magnify the scratches. It could not be better for us. I mean, car guys need our products now more than ever.
Right.
And we keep coming up with these products that make it easier and easier to do the job faster.
Yes.
Get a darker, clearer finish. I mean, just the liquids we're coming up with and the types of pads we're coming up with and stuff. It's so much fun. We have fun. You come in this place, you can feel the energy,
Absolutely.
And it's more fun now than it's ever been.
And I love that companies like yours are taking the effort to make it easier on the detailer or the car enthusiast.
Yeah, well, there's no other company like ours. What are you talking about companies like ours?
Wait, there's other car care?
Show me what other company. There's lots of great people in the car care business, but I tell you what, I don't think there's another company. When you walk in, you sense it when you walk in the door.
Absolutely.
There's an energy in this place.
Absolutely. Specifically in this room.
In my office.
We're in Barry's office right now, and the energy just is oozing out of the bottles.
My grandfather had it, and my dad and his two brothers had it, and I am so grateful that we have a company full of people that share that passion today, and they're all over the world. We have passionate people. We're in 100 markets around the world, We just had an international meeting at the SEMA show. We had 90-some-odd people there from around the world. And they're all Meguiar's Thailand or Meguiar's Taiwan or Meguiar's Indonesia or what have you, And they come in with their own stories. And they're doing the same thing we're doing here, there. They've invested their own money. We find people that when we tell them you're going to have to go to car shows like 40 weekends a year, if they say, then forget about it.
Right.
It's the one that says, really? You mean I can go to car shows 48 weekends a year and make money doing it? Sign me up.
Like, just make sure my wife's okay with it.
Right.
And
And the wives are in it too.
That's true.
So we have passionate people around the world, and they're replicating, in some cases, better than us. What we've done here.
But I love the standard that you guys set for the industry, and it is so prevalent at SEMA. Everything from you said you don't do much advertising or marketing, but your marketing almost stands out through how you guys set up your booths, how you guys dress, the logo on everything, or the logo behind you in the background.
We kind of work hard at that. We'd say if we're going to do something, let's do it right.
Yeah.
And let's. Passion is about perfection, if you will. We don't want to be snobbish about that, but we want to do it right. If we do it half-baked, people never come up to our level.
Yeah.
And so we just need to do it really right. So you look at that and say, those guys got their act together.
Yep.
They're serious about what they're doing. They're
Absolutely.
a lot of fun. They're having fun.
Yeah.
And we want to get in on it.
Huge part of it.
And, when we train people, we show them first. I mean, you've been in our classes. We show first, which is always impressive. And people walk away and say, well, that would really look great. Then we demonstrate, as you know, and they go, wow. But the critical part, you can't stop there. You got to put the product in their hand.
Yes.
And when we put the products in the car guy's hand, and they sit there and all of a sudden say, wow, this is so easy.
Yeah.
We got them for a lifetime. It's lifetime value. And so it's you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't invest that much time in an individual if you didn't know there wasn't a long-term payoff. You can only do that when you know you have a product that earns their respect.
Right.
And so the goal of our company, we do all kinds of kind of neat things, and the TV show and the packaging and the car shows and all that. The goal of the company is the product. We can do all that, but the product doesn't give a wow.
Right.
What's it all about anyway? Everybody in the company knows the product, the lab. That's where the goal is. We make the best products to honor my grandfather. And if we make products that are better than anybody else, we prove it to ourselves. We test them. We send them out all over the world. We test in every kind of environment, humidity, dryness, whatever. Right. So when we finally go to market, we know that product's going to work wherever it goes.
Right.
And to have that kind of technology and passion behind the product, that's the key to our success. And my grandfather did it at his level. Yeah. We're doing it at a whole another level, but it's the same passion.
My father-in-law's a painting contractor, and he kind of mentored me a little bit as I started my detail business. And I was asking him, where do you advertise? Do you Yellow Pages, or where are you? I guess it was Yellow Pages back then. Today it'd be Google, even though it was only we're talking 7 years ago. But
you kind of bridge the gap there, don't you, in your lifetime?
But where do you advertise? And he looked at me and he said, you know what? If you have a good product and you have a good service, you're never going to have to worry about advertising. Yeah. You're never going to have to worry about any of that stuff. Yeah. Just have the main focus be on your service and your product, and you'll never have to worry about anything else. Obviously, that's a broad scope. You do have to worry about these little things, but it's the core of
that is the core.
Everything.
That's the core.
So
that's the core. You're dead on.
So you're in Detroit. When do you come back out to California?
I came back out at the end of, I was there for a couple of years. Okay. I came back in 1967.
Okay.
And
why'd you come back besides the Great?
Well, I didn't go there to stay long time. Okay. I wasn't wanting to live in Detroit the rest of my life. And the Detroit riots happened while I was there.
Oh, wow.
So that was an interesting time. It was a valuable time for me because living in California, it's not the real world. It's just not. I mean, it's easy to take care of a car finish here. I went to wash my car the first time. Well, we moved to Detroit in December. First time I went to wash my car in my garage. The towel froze to the hood of the car. I had chrome rims on my car in Detroit, and within a month they were rusting. I'd never seen rust on wheels before. What is this? All this solid road stuff. So it was a wonderful experience. It taught me the real world and taught me the level we need to take our products so that they perform in those kinds of environments. So I had a wonderful experience, but things were happening back home, and a freeway was taking our property where our plant was in Pasadena.
Okay.
We needed to relocate.
Okay.
So I came back home and helped in that situation and relocated us down to Irvine, here where we are today.
Why Irvine from Pasadena?
Well, I vacationed down here on Balboa Island all my life growing up. And I always said one day I want to live down here, and now I do.
Good for you. Good for you.
And Pasadena was going through huge problems at the time. Lots of racial tension, forced busing, and whatever.
Right.
And it was a problem time. Pasadena's come back now, and I'm very much tied in the Turner Roads and stuff. Love Pasadena.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that it urged me to move down to Orange County, and I love this area. And you've lived here all your life.
Yeah.
You were born here. I had to move here, but so I came back for that, and I had this dream. I just had this in me that I wanted to create a retail brand.
Yeah.
And starting from scratch, I need to create a whole new image, entirely different image from our mirror glazed professional brand, so there wouldn't be any confusion.
Right.
Because the professional brand is pretty structured.
Right.
And you get into retail, there's no structure; it just kind of goes all over the place. So I
Right.
had to have an entirely different brand. So that's when we created even the logo. Meguiar's the scripted logo.
Uh-huh.
That was created in 1970.
Okay.
It speaks back to our earlier days, but that brand of that now is the brand that you know us by was a whole miracle story of how that happened in 1970. And then I launched in 1973 the first product, Cleaner Wax, Meguiar's Cleaner Wax.
What was the first big retailer you got into?
Oh, my first big retailer? Well, of course, no retailers were the size they are today.
Well, how about what was the first retailer?
When I called on Walmart, they were talking about how they're going to be bigger than Kmart someday, and I went, yeah, right. This little Arkansas country, they could be bigger than Kmart.
Right.
Yeah, that's a joke. And
is there even a Kmart around?
Today,
there's one in Big Bear.
Kmart was the big deal back in the
Right.
day, and it took me a long time to sell them. I sold little bitty independent speed shops.
Okay.
Not too many of those around anymore, but they were my customers. I grew up shopping at Pep Boys.
Yeah.
That was my automotive chain store here. I was determined to sell them. And they were probably the first one. I guess
Okay.
they were the first one that I actually sold. I could tell you so many incredible stories. I had the door slammed in my face so many times my nose was sore. It was just like I got no. But if you have it in you, you're going to make it. You're going to do it.
Yeah.
You never give up. And I had that belief. I just really felt God wanted me to do that. Without getting preachy, I really felt that was what I was supposed to do. And
Absolutely.
so I persevered, and I got people liking me and liking my products, but they said, but you don't advertise, and you got to advertise, be on our shelves, and working that whole balance thing was a wild ride. And finally, you start advertising, they still don't take your product on, and then you're not making any money anymore. And the whole family say, "What kind of fine mess you got us into?" I'm minimizing those conversations. They were huge conversations, and weird points. I thought I was going to drive the company right out of business, but it was just faith and believing that's what we were supposed to do, and then it just all of a sudden it turned. And
So what year did it start to turn, and it just kind of the growth just started getting huge?
All the chains said, you go on TV and we'll put you in. And so I talked this little family business into going on TV, and we did it, and nobody took us on. And they said, well, our merchandise, vice president of merchandising and our buying committee doesn't believe you actually do it. So if you really do it this year, we'll put you in next year. And so we lost a lot of money that year. And I had one board member say, Bank of America now owns Meguiar's. Thank you very much.
Oh.
And my dad's two brothers were not real happy with me. In fact, one wanted to wring my neck, I think. He just just thought I just had destroyed the business. Oh. And I prayed, and I just went back, and I just felt led. I said, you know what, we got to do it again, because they all said they'll put us in the next year. And you got to be kidding. There's no way. I can't even believe I went back to the board a second time because we were toast.
Yeah.
And they said, I had some outside board members that helped me, and by one vote, they said, if you can sell it to Bank of America, we'll do it. And I sat down with that manager of the Bank of America with my family behind me, and I said, here's my plan. Wow. And the bank manager said, it's a very conservative bank.
Yeah.
The bank manager said, I have to be out of my mind, but I think you're going to pull this off. Let's do it. And so I had it all scheduled out. This chain, who never sold.
Right.
This chain will take 1,000 cases. This chain will take 22,000 cases. This chain, I had it all figured out. I had this whole schedule, 50,000 cases, right?
Wow.
55,000 cases. And then we had one little machine to make. So we had to start making the product in October,
before they'd even purchased it.
Way before they purchased it.
Oh,
and we filled our little building to the ceiling, wall to wall with product. I hadn't sold one case. And I had my cousin come out. He says, come here, man. He says, have you seen this? I said, no. He says, are you going to sell all this? And the blood was just draining from my head. I thought I was going to pass out. I said, oh, no problem. We can sell this stuff. And, all those people all the buyers that said they're going to buy and didn't buy, but will buy next year,
Wow.
once they saw we were going to advertise, they bought.
Wow.
And I missed the projection by 1,000 cases. That stuff
Out of
went
55,000.
out of 55,000, and it just went like it was gone. If I hadn't had faith, if I hadn't believed,
yes,
and I held back, we would not even be in business today.
Wow.
So if there's people listening to us right now,
Yeah.
have a dream, believe. And I would say trust the Lord with all your heart. You got to not 90%. You got to trust with all your heart, but you got to be there. You got to go for it.
Yeah.
And you're doing that.
Yeah.
You're doing that very thing. You're following your dream. You're going way beyond your comfort level, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. Even being here talking to you,
I
you know, this is,
identify with where you are right now.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. I'm honored to be with you. I said it, but I really mean it.
I really appreciate that, and it's good to hear that, you know, there was that pivotal moment in
man.
Meguiar's,
There was.
you know, where really it was either left or right, and
There was a fork in the road.
there was a fork in the road.
Yeah,
you know, and it's nice to hear those stories because, you know, for me, I've had multiple forks in the road, as of course Meguiar says as well, but. You know, I hope it's an encouragement to guys listening, you know, at that fork in the road. A lot of our listeners are still working a regular job and trying to detail and trying to bridge that gap to make detailing their full-time gig, and they're kind of at this fork in the road. And, you know, I try and tell them, well, don't completely ditch your income, especially if you have a family, you know, but sometimes you got to take a risk. And sometimes you got to have faith.
You have to get there, and you got to have a resolve within you of what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And stick to it. I see the old car wax manufacturers start up now, and whenever I see them at a little event, I go over to them and I congratulate them, and I say, "Stay the course."
Yep.
You know, I was a little 10-foot booth like you one day.
Yep.
You know,
camaraderie.
Thick and thin. You know,
Yep.
you can make it. There's room for all of us.
Yep, and I love the camaraderie. That is so true. I just had I was telling you, I have little daily quick tips that come out, and the quick tip that happened to come out today was camaraderie among detailers. And you know,
it's wonderful.
It's wonderful, and there's so much of it, and
globally,
and it only helps the industry grow.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's awesome to hear that you go over to little booths.
Oh, I do.
It's fun.
You know, I remember my roots strongly.
Yeah.
You know, and I try to encourage young people coming up. It's, you know, you can make it in this world. America's this great nation.
Yeah.
You can make it here.
Yep.
But you got to work.
You got to work.
You know, I'm still doing it. I
Yep.
mean, I work. I still work long hours,
Yeah.
going 6 days a week,
Yeah.
and sometimes 7. And
Yeah.
it's just you know, you have to pay the price. I mean, you can't be lazy. You got to do your part. But it's back to the saying that we all
Right.
know by now, it's been used. But if you find something you just love to do and find a way to make money at it, and it's a trite phrase that's been used 1,000 times,
Right.
but it's so true.
It is.
I mean, I have so much fun. I've never been more excited. Never worked harder. I mean, I'm just going flat out all the time.
It's awesome.
And have more fun I've ever had. You know,
It's great.
I'm very thankful for where I am today, and for the team we have here.
Yeah.
You know, the Mike Penningtons and the Jasons
Yep.
you talk
Yep.
about, and all
Great
the team.
guys.
I mean, people that have this passion, have been with us
Yep.
for a long time, and they do it better than me. I can say it now. You guys do it every day. I don't get to buff as often as you guys do, you know. So I learn from them now.
Wow.
And
That's fun.
so it's family, and I
Yeah.
think people when they walk in the premises here, just to repeat it for a second, I think you feel that
Absolutely.
sense here.
Absolutely. Just to touch on it real quick, when I told you I just shot a total hole in the, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, just a blank email to Jason saying, hey, would you want to come on my podcast? I wasn't Joe from Tom, from anyone. And he goes, yeah, come on down. You know, and I'm like, and then the hospitality that he showed me, and Michael too, and, you know, just unbelievable
Hey,
hospitality.
you got passion, come on in.
Absolutely.
That's
So
family.
you're quite the visionary. You've kind of showed us how that. What do you see as the future for Meguiar's?
Well, we're having a lot of fun internationally. You know, there is a saturation point. I mean, how big a market share can you get in the United States? We're kind of up there.
Mm-hmm.
We have great growth plans for next year planned, and you know, but still the world. I mean, we only have 17% of the world's population of cars.
Wow.
So we're in something like 200 countries, and we're having enormous growth overseas. And it's fun to replicate what we're doing here, and as I mentioned earlier, some cases even doing better than we're doing here. We have some people that are just so out there. They have their own ideas.
Wow.
You know, and car guys are the same all over the world. They have vastly different cars. Sometimes they have cars that I think are just downright ugly, but that's their cars. That's their history.
Right.
You know, and in some of those countries, they can't bring in outside cars. They got to deal with whatever they got. That's what they're.
Yeah.
The passion's always going to be there for a car, whatever that car is, and to come alongside them and help them make their car look perfect.
That's awesome.
We're creating the car hobby in China. I mean, we're all over China. Wow. And there was, of course, they were there on bicycles, right?
Right.
So we're in the first 20 years of the car hobby growing, and we're all over the place creating clubs and shows and helping them know how to do that. And
right.
And it's funny, their characteristics on their own, it replicates what we see everywhere else around the world. So you go into the most impoverished countries, third world countries, and there'll be car guys.
That's awesome.
With the same fashion you have.
Yeah, and this podcast is listened to in about 30 different countries.
Well, there you go.
So we're right on your tail.
There you go.
We only got 170 more to go.
Yeah.
But it's true. The passion behind car guys, it's everywhere.
It's wonderful.
So
it's I think it's the world's greatest fraternity.
Yeah.
The car
and
hobby
it is.
It's
It
the
really
world's greatest
is.
fraternity. It brings out the best in people. It's like a screening process. I don't know, but every car guy, and of course it's guys and gals. Gals are car guys.
Sure,
the same.
yeah.
You love cars, you're a car guy.
Yeah.
But if you're a car guy, they're just wherever you go. Car guys are generous. They're kind. They're giving.
Yeah.
They're nurturing. They're there to help if you have a problem. You know, all the stories are just legendary. They'll do anything they can to help you, even if they're competing with you in the show. They'll help you get your car running. Right. It's great for families. It's great for bringing up kids. Have the hundreds of hours working in a car with your adolescent son or daughter.
Yep.
What else could provide that kind of closeness and camaraderie?
Absolutely.
I asked one 12-year-old, but isn't your dad the disciplinarian? Doesn't he make you do your chores? He said, oh, yeah, it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He said, but when we're working on cars, we're buddies.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how do you reach your adolescence in this crazy age with all the negative stuff going on? How do you keep a connection there? And cars provide that connection.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. If someone's just starting out in their business or they're trying to make that transition from a regular corporate job to breaking out on their own in the detailing industry, is there any books or any recommended resources?
I know a great podcast.
I'm trying to get them to listen.
That's all you need. That is writing the book on podcasts. So, with Google, fortunately, the web is just so amazing information you have. And I just go for it every direction.
Yeah.
There's no end, no saturation point for learning. Strive for excellence.
Mm-hmm.
Never do things halfway. Do it the best you can possibly do it with your whole heart.
Yeah.
And be willing to pay the price.
Yeah. So I think you got a TV show. Is there any plugs that you want to make for Meguiar? I usually ask people, how can people connect with you? But maybe giving out your phone number or your email probably wouldn't be the best thing.
My cell is 949. Oh no, I better not do that. I guess. Well, we've been doing Car Crazy TV for 18 years now.
Wow.
18 years.
Wow.
I cannot believe it. We have great fun. Go all over the world, talk to car guys. We did it because 18 years ago the car hobby was going downhill. Car shows are not being well attended. Car clubs are disbanding, and we said somebody's got to do something. Who's going to do it? But the car hobby is grassroots. It just starts with one guy likes a car for some reason, finds somebody else likes the same car, and they start having fun together, and then they form a club, and they find out there's another club over somewhere else that likes the same type of cars, and they have a show, and it just kind of happens.
Right.
It's not like motorsports where you have these sanctioning bodies.
Right.
And one day one night actually, I was on a car rally, and Carroll Shelby was sitting next to me that evening in a home, and somebody's playing the piano, and he was telling me another one of his amazing stories. Always had a different story. But for some reason that night, it crossed my mind, I wonder how many millions of car guys would love to be sitting next to Carroll Shelby listening to him spill his yarn about
That's
his
kind of how I feel right now, talking to you.
And so I came back and talked to Leslie Kennedy, a gal who had been with us for a lot of years and had the same concern, was in charge of corporate communications. And she said, you know all these people. I mean, who knows the people you know in the car hobby? You know their stories, and they need to get out. Why don't we do a TV show? And so Speed had been on the Speed channel, Speed Vision at the time, been on air for a year, started by Roger Warren and some car guys. And we went over, met with them, and they bought 4 episodes. And then they gave us 4 more episodes, 4 one-hour shows. And then they said, your show's pretty good. Get it down to half an hour, we'll run a lot more often. And we thought they're hurting us because a half hour, well, you're cutting us back to a half-hour show. But the fact of the matter is most of the shows are half-hour shows.
Right.
And if we did a half-hour for them, then they could run us frequently. And so we did that, and they ran us, 20, 30 times a week.
Wow.
And then they sold out to Fox. And we thought, well, it's over. The car guys are gone. And Fox sat down and said, you're actually one of our higher-rated shows. We want you on year-round. So we got very excited about that until about an hour after the meeting, we said, wait a minute, I got a company to run. I can't. It's TV shows. That's a lot of work. Man.
Right.
It takes a lot of time. So they said, we'll do 26 shows, and then we'll do repeats. And so we did that for a lot of years. And, of course, then Speed Channel ended up, they changed to Fox Sports 1, and so they weren't a sports venue anymore. Meanwhile, Discovery, John Hendrick, who's a great car guy, the founder of Discovery, they created this network called Velocity, which is now the Great Car Guy channel. And 2 years ago, it was in its infancy, but they were pursuing us, and so we moved over to them, and that has been so much fun. And with Discovery now, they take us. I think we're in 90% of the world because of them. And so they've been wonderful to us. Wow. They are serious car guys. All the guys at Velocity are passionate car guys and really into it, and very great laid at home there. We only do 13 shows though, now. I mean, at this stage of my life, we only do 13 shows, and we do a lot of overseas. But each show is, it's not like we come in the studio and we do a cookie cutter show. You can do several of those a day.
Right.
We always go somewhere. We take 9 people, travel with 9 people, 3 cameras shoot. It's a big deal. It's a big production. And when we shoot for 2 or 3 days, and then we have the travel.
Right.
So you do that 13 times, and that's quite a commitment.
Right.
But a lot of people like the shows, and they don't necessarily see them first run. So now they run a lot of them.
Okay.
So folks say, I sure see a lot of reruns, Well, yeah, we only make 13 shows. But it ends up the reruns have as good a ratings as the first runs because you have different audience. Sure. Not the same people watching all the time.
Absolutely.
And so it's worked well, and the show has been fun for us to put a spotlight on a lot of the friends we have around the world. And then, of course, I've met people that I had not met before.
Right.
So it's we feel great responsibility with that because it is the one show where we have the opportunity to show car guys all around the world what car guys look like all around the world. We're that conduit. I've been doing it for 40 years. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it firsthand, but now I bring cameras with me so that,
show the world.
Millions of car guys can see what I see and appreciate how similar car guys are in all these different countries, and how the passion is just the same, and how we are blessed to be a part of this wonderful fraternity, car hobby.
I love that the fraternity, because it is. It's a brotherhood. What a great word, a fraternity of people.
The car show is about that. It's not about selling car wax. It never was. It was about growing the car hobby.
Right.
Fortunately, the car hobby now, I hope that we had something to do with it, but there's a lot of factors that have made it happen. But the car hobby is exploding all over the world. Yeah. You can't keep up with it. You go to the SEMA show, it's on steroids. You go to Pebble Beach Week up in Monterey, it's on steroids. Every event is just jammed. You go every car show you think of.
Even at Seal Beach car show.
Seal Beach, which is a fabulous car show, by the way.
Sold out a year in advance for a little tiny town.
No matter where you go, we just see a burst of scene 20 years ago. What a difference from 20 years ago. So
awesome.
It bodes well, and you don't have to be a car guy to love old cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point.
So there's lots of folks coming along now saying, wow, this is really a fun way to spend a day, an afternoon.
Absolutely.
Bring the kids.
And bring the kids. I love that point, too. So, well, hey, we'll start wrapping it up. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Nice to talk with you. God bless you and all you're doing. You've got a great future ahead. I'm going to be watching you. It'll be amazing to see where you are even 5 years from now.
Great.
It's going to be you're on a fast track.
I hope to have you back on the show because I want to talk about stuff like you hiring Jason as your personal detailer. So we got to have you back on the show.
Great story.
Thanks, Barry.
Awesome.
Are you looking to get your website back on track? Are you looking to buy a domain for your brand new auto detailing business? Whether you're looking to buy a new domain, looking for a hosting company, I want to recommend the best hosting and domain company that I've found. I've talked a lot about how important it is to have a nice, solid website, and behind every nice, solid website is a great hosting company. And so I've set up a special link for Auto Detailing Podcast listeners. I've worked out an affiliate link discount code for Auto Detailing Podcast podcast listeners, and you can get these special offers by autodetailingpodcast.com/website. If you're looking to get your website back on track, maybe update your website to the 21st century, you need a new hosting platform, you want better customer service with the current website that you have, head on over to autodetailingpodcast.com/website. That's going to redirect you to the best hosting and domain website that I've ever used. autodetailingpodcast.com/website. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Auto Detailing Podcast. Head on over to autodetailingpodcast.com for full show notes and links of everything that we've talked about today. And don't forget to check out our resources page for a direct link to all the products talked about not only on today's episode, but that I use in my day-to-day detail business. They have direct links so you can purchase and get free shipping right from that page. That's autodetailingpodcast.com. We'll see you on the next episode.